right, today we're cracking open a genuine historical mystery, a real head-scratcher found inside an ancient text. Think of it as a detective story that's been waiting centuries to be solved, and it all revolves around a king, a giant, and a very, very strange question. So here it is, the central puzzle that has had scholars debating for ages. How on earth could King Saul, one of the most powerful men of his time, seemingly have no idea who his own hand-picked armor-bearer, this young guy named David, even was? I mean, the contradiction is it's right there in black and white. In one chapter, Saul is so impressed with David that he makes him a personal attendant, his armor-bearer. The text even says he loved him greatly. But then, you flip the page to the very next chapter, David steps up to fight Goliath, and suddenly the king acts like he's a total stranger. Picture this. David has just done the impossible. He's defeated the giant. And in this moment of incredible triumph, the king looks at him and asks, "Whose son are you, young man?" It feels so weird, right? It's less of a congratulations and more of an interrogation. So what in the world is going on here?
Okay, to solve this mystery, we have to put on our detective hats and really investigate the scene. And like any good detective, we start with the clues.
Our first clue is all about David's job. You see, his service to the king wasn't exactly a full-time 9-to-5 gig. It was intermittent. The text actually says he would go back and forth from Saul's court to his father's farm to tend the sheep. So he wasn't just hanging around the palace 24/7. And that points to something huge. A significant amount of time could have passed. When David first shows up at court, he's basically a boy, a musician. Then there's this gap. It could be months, maybe even a year or two. By the time he reappears on the battlefield, he's grown into a young man. That time gap is absolutely crucial to this story. Okay, now let's zoom in on the actual interactions they had, because this is where the mystery really deepens. So get this, just before David walks out to face Goliath, Saul himself physically puts his own armor on him. We're talking his personal helmet, his coat of mail, the whole shebang. That's an intimate, hands-on act. That is not something you do for a complete stranger. At that moment, Saul clearly recognizes David as the specific person volunteering for this mission. And yet, even after all that, Saul still asks the question, and not just once, but twice. First, he turns to his general, Abner, and asks. Then he asks David directly after the victory. But listen really closely to the wording he uses. In both cases, he asks, whose son is this youth? The focus is squarely on his parentage. So, how do we make sense of all this? With all the evidence laid out, experts have come up with three main theories. Three keys that could potentially unlock this entire case. Let's unpack them. Okay, theory number one is purely practical, a legal reason. Saul had promised a massive reward to the family of whoever beat Goliath, a huge tax break. To do that, he'd need the official name of the father. Theory two is psychological. The text is very clear that Saul was troubled by an evil spirit, which some think could have caused mental distress and memory problems. And theory three is just physical. You know, a teenager can change an awful lot in a year or two. Now, while all those theories have some merit, the strongest evidence points to a solution that has nothing to do with forgetfulness at all. Instead, it's about a major shift in perspective. This wasn't about Saul recognizing David's face. It was about Saul needing to identify his family's new status. Think about it. Before the fight, Saul sees David as a brave volunteer. His concern is purely functional. Can this kid get the job done? But after David wins, everything changes. David is now a national hero and, according to the deal, a potential son-in-law. Saul's focus instantly shifts from functional to genealogical. It's no longer, can you fight, but who is your family so I can give them their rewards? The context changed everything. So the bottom line is this. Saul never forgot who David was. He simply didn't know, or frankly, probably didn't care, who his father was, until David's victory made that information absolutely essential. His question wasn't, who are you? It was, whose son are you? It was a question of lineage, not identity. You know, this ancient story is more than just a puzzle about a forgetful king. It's a powerful lesson in the importance of context. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often in our own lives do we miss the real question or misunderstand a whole situation just because we're focused on the wrong thing?